You know, there's a big difference between being an elected official and representing a constituency and being appointed to a position where you're just accountable to that one person that appointed you, whether it was a president or what. I think Attorney General Landry gets that, having run for Congress and also running as an Attorney General in the state of Louisiana. I want to bring up a letter, General Landry, that 6 state attorney generals signed, including you and Attorney General from my state, Alan Wilson. In short, this letter expresses support for bringing national harmony to the CAFE standards. And Mr. Chairman, I would like to submit that for record, if I can.
Without objections. So great.
General Landry, you state in your testimony, when a state is allowed to usurp congressional intent for their own designs, all of the other states in our republic suffer. In the letter, it says one state should not be able to effectively dictate fuel economy standards, tailpipe emission requirements, and mandates for zero-emission vehicles for the entire nation, where Congress has set a clear policy favoring a single federal standard and no compelling air quality concern exists that is unique to that state. It's a great letter. I appreciate you doing that. You've sat here patiently all day. I want to give you an opportunity to address these issues one more time, how they affect your state, manufacturing, and your constituents.
Well, thank you, my good friend. The one thing that's interesting is that the road that we are traveling by allowing California to do that and basically have a waiver, which we believe is probably unconstitutional and certainly improper in the way that it was granted, is that it's discriminatory. It's discriminatory against rural and smaller states by allowing the state of California to basically set national policy. National policy should be set in here. And I would remind you all that the state of California controls 53 to 52 seats in the House of Representatives. That's 12% of this body. And so if they can't, with that large number, be able to influence national policy, we shouldn't have the state back home, right? The state of California back home, dictating national policy. That is inherently unconstitutional and a complete violation of the Commerce Clause. Also, what's interesting is that competition, right, should be driving technology, not the government. The government certainly has an opportunity to encourage technology, but I want to be able to drive a truck, which I've driven my entire life. Right? I want to be able to own an SUV. At some point, there becomes a point of diminishing return. And then all of a sudden, California dictates what size vehicle I get to drive, right? What happens in Illinois, or Kansas, or Nebraska, or Iowa, right? What happens to those farmers or those people who want to use larger utility vehicles? Certainly, we want the automobile industry to drive the vehicles that we want to purchase. And certainly, if they can create a truck that has a higher fuel efficiency, it is attractive to consumers. It certainly would be attractive to me as well. But I can tell you that the way that this is going is disruptive to our constitutional principles and the way that our structure of government should operate. And all we're asking for, and remember, attorney generals are responsible for protecting consumers. And this is absolutely not a protection of consumers, because what it does is it's discriminatory, in fact, against consumers in Louisiana, rather than basically placing the policy decisions inside the hands of, say, consumers or elected officials in California.
Yeah, you make excellent points, and we are a republic. And you talk about terms of state sovereignty. One state shouldn't dictate what other states do, and I think the letter that you and the other attorney generals have put forward is very, very clear on that. And I mentioned earlier in the first panel, I drive a Chevy Duramax diesel. I was in the auction business, real estate brokerage. I drove about 65,000 miles a year. The reason I did that wasn't because I necessarily needed all that towing power and capacity of that truck. I was wearing gasoline engines out. So Chevrolet had a product that was appealing to me. That's what entrepreneurialism, capitalism is all about, is that the manufacturers see a need in the market and they produce a product that the buyer wants, not a product that the government tells them they have to produce and tells the buyers they have to buy. That's what happens in socialist societies, not capitalist societies. We're a market-driven economy, and We are a republic of sovereign states. And I think the Attorney General has made some great points there. Mr. Chairman, thank the committee for having this panel and for this hearing, and with that, I will yield back.